Hey, tubies. This is Bob Hickman. You know I get excited every time I get to come back and be with you guys. Well, I am so glad you're here. You guys sent me a lot of beautiful comments and were really supportive of yesterday's video, which was on how to know if Wicca is right for you. And that's such a big topic, and I thought today we would kind of continue along some along that lines, and I want to share some more thoughts with you. So many of you wrote to me and you said, Psychic Bomb, I grew up in a certain religion and I always felt that God was distant, or I felt that, God was not in harmony with me, or that I was an enemy of God. And, I think that when certain religions kind of beat people down and make them feel less than, I personally think there's something wrong with that. That's one of the things that really drew me to the craft, was that the concept of deity is transcendent, which means beyond the world, yet deity is also immanent, meaning within the world. I was looking at Scott Cunningham's book. I mentioned this yesterday, Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner by Scott Cunningham. And he echoes this message here. And he says, unlike some religions, Wicca doesn't view deity as distant. The goddess and God are both within ourselves and manifest in all nature. This is the universality. There is nothing that isn't of the gods. If you really stop and grasp that point, it's pretty profound, because it means that our connection with deity is much closer than I think many religions would have us believe. And for me, when I was looking at, is Wicca right for me, I'll never forget this passage, because it really stuck in my mind that, I can have a true connection with God. I don't have to depend on somebody else's interpretation. I think this is very important, because I'm not saying that the organized religions don't have value in what they teach, because certainly they do. But I know that at least in my journey, I had connections with deity that I was told by, quote, organized religion were not acceptable or were not real, and you need to discard that. Deity is only under our way, our interpretation. And so for those of you who struggle saying, well, should I look at Wicca? Can I do that? Try to understand that if you can consider this concept of deity, it may very well change your whole world. You see? Some of you wrote to me and you said, Psychic Bomb, don't you think that nature is a big part of what draws people to the craft, to the Wiccan movement? And I have to agree. And it goes back to the statement that this is the universality. There is nothing that isn't of the gods. You see, divinity is amongst us. When we walk in the forest and we see the trees, we connect with the God. When we touch the soil, we connect with the Mother Earth. The deities are present in our very world. This is very liberating, I think, and one of the things that, for me, changed my life. You see, if we consider that deity is literally immanent, not some transcendent, distant being, then that means we have a responsibility in how we relate to that deity. This is why you'll find many Wiccans are drawn to environmentalism. It's hard for us as Wiccans to sit back and watch Mother Earth be attacked and desecrated through pollution, toxic waste. All of these things that are destructive for a Wiccan is very painful. It is part of our spirituality. We have to embrace our deity where we are. Very profound. Also in this book, there's another passage here. You know, a lot of you wrote and said, you know, Bob, I also love the fact that I can do magic. You don't have to agree, because magic will help you understand that you have power within. You know, I remember when I was at a very difficult time in my life, and I had a lot of struggles. And I felt like, well, just sitting and just, you know, in that time my mindset was, well, God will just take care of it. I do think there are times when God does take care of things. But maybe we can be part of that process of change. And that's what magic teaches us. You know, a lot of religions will say magic's demonic, it's evil, you're working with dark powers. That hasn't been my experience. Everything I've learned in the craft has been about working in harmony with that natural energy, working with the Lord, working with the lady, working with their presence through the natural earth, through crystals, through plants, through the earth. Excuse me, my phone, I have to silence it. I forgot to do it. You see? But that inner silence that you find, talk about silencing my phone, we have to find inner silence with nature. And when we find that inner silence, then we can do magic. You see, one of the things about the craft that I think is so important is that it teaches you to look within. It teaches you that inside how you feel, how you perceive things, should not be ignored. There are some religions in the world that say you're so innately evil and sinful, you can't trust yourself. Let the good priest up at the altar take care of things for you. You're not worthy. Wicca doesn't say that. Wicca says step up to the altar yourself and be part of your transformation. Pretty powerful. It's pretty revolutionary, and I think that, you know, for many people, this is why when people hear about a conversion to Wicca, they feel threatened by it. Because when people understand that they have power and can take control of their lives, they no longer become slaves. And I'm not saying all organized religion makes us people slaves, but I do know many people who, whether they realize it or not, have become slaves because of organized religion. Wicca teaches you freedom. It also teaches you responsibility. So I want to read this other passage from Scott Cunningham's books here. And it says, magic is the practice of moving natural, though little understood energies to effect needed change. In Wicca, magic is used as a tool to sanctify ritual areas, to improve ourselves and the world in which we live. Many people confuse Wicca and magic as if the two words are interchangeable. Wicca is a religion that embraces magic. If you seek only to practice magic, Wicca probably isn't the answer for you. Another fundamental point. Magic isn't a means of forcing nature to do your will. This is a completely erroneous idea fostered by the belief that magic is somehow supernatural, as if anything that exists can be outside of nature. Magic is natural. It is harmonious movement of energies to create needed change. Again, that's from Scott Cunningham's book, Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. So, you know, if you're questioning, is Wicca for me? Consider those points. Consider, do you find harmony for nature? Can you consider that divinity can be immanent, could be present here on earth with us, that we can connect? I'll never forget one of my most profound moments was I was walking through the woods one day, and I saw a bunch of brush, tree limbs and a bush growing. It was in the park. And as I was walking by it, I suddenly saw the face of a man in the leaves. The foliage of the leaves literally had a face, eyes, nose, mouth, clearly defined face. And I thought, oh my heavens, that's the Green Man. Now, I had read about the Green Man, and as with many craft things, it's always good to read. But really, in the craft, the experience of seeing and knowing is much more powerful. So when I walked in the woods and I saw the Green Man, now I understand the whole concept of the male element in nature of the Green Man. But see, I wouldn't have had that understanding had I not actually been out walking. So with Wicca, if you're discerning whether it's for you, literally spend time knowing the earth around you. In our modern day rush around society, especially those of us who live in urban areas, we could go weeks literally and never see a tree, never touch the grass. For example, I live in a high-rise building. When I walk out my door, I literally walk across concrete to a bus stop. I go to another high-rise building, which is my office where I work. I could go every day and never touch grass or trees. That's kind of sad. But when I started studying Wicca, I realized, I thought, I need to go touch the trees. I need to go feel the earth. And so I did. And you know what happened? As I started to be aware of the energies that were coming through those elements. So don't stay in your, concrete steel world. Go out and be in harmony with the trees. If the trees start to talk to you, don't be afraid. Just remember, Psychic Bob said that might happen. Anyways, so these are just some more thoughts to think about if Wicca is for you. And I hope you'll, meditate on these things. Guys, I'm so glad you're here. Listen, keep it here. We're going to have more. I think we're going to do another day on Is Wicca Right for You? Because there's more I still think we need to talk about. But hopefully this will be another edition that will give you just a little bit more insight. Anyways, hope you'll like this, favorite, share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed to Spirit Channel, my Spirit Channel, go ahead and hit that. Also go to my website, and if you want to join Order of the Purple Cord, you can read about it there as well and join. And also go over to Lady Angela's YouTube, check out her videos, and also visit her store at rarewiccaspells.com. You'll find wonderful books there also to study. I think you, in fact, can get this book over there. So you might want to go over there and see what she has in terms of Wicca books. Okay, she has ritual supplies, incense, statues, everything. Go see her, okay? Tell her, Psychic Bob sent me, okay? And also, while you're there, I forgot, I have a new line of spells, Psychic Bob's Spirit Spells. You can go check those out. If you want to start to delve into magic, I have a spell series at rarewiccaspells.com that you can purchase. Anyways, hope this helps you guys. Thank you for being here. Love you all. And be back here tomorrow. We're going to finish talking about Is Wicca right for you? Thanks for being here. Blessings. Good night.